With every day that passes, it's looking more and more likely like the 49ers are going to have to trade wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. And with him being one of the best wideouts in the league, I figured it was only right that I came on here and made a video about some of the places where I could see him going. But before we get into that, I'd like to do a couple of housekeeping things. If you're into music, anime, sports, gaming, any of that fun shit, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and leave a like because that's kind of the content that I'm going to be posting on here. And of course, if there's any specific content that you'd like to see me make, go ahead and put that down in the comments for me. And now that I have that out of the way, the first team I'm going to talk about is, of course, the New England Patriots. It's been reported that the Pats have been trying to trade for Aiyuk for months. In fact, I've even seen articles claiming that there was a deal put in place on draft night for the Pats' second-round pick to send Aiyuk to New England. And that is huge because when you look at this Patriots wide receiver core, it is so shallow. Of course, you have a guy like Kendrick Bourne. He's a proven starter. We know what he's going to bring you. After that, you have a Juju Smith-Schuster. He's not bringing you a lot of production. You have a Demario Douglas. You have a Kayshon Boutte. You have Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Reagor. None of these guys are jumping out as a number one option for a Drake May, for a Joe Milton, for a Jacoby Brissett. Whoever's going to be taking these first team quarterback reps, they're going to need a guy like Aiyuk to come in here and set the tone for this wide receiver room. And you know, I hate to bring this up, but the reason why I bring up Drake May is because we know how important these first couple seasons can be for a quarterback's development. And so if we're sending Drake May out there with Kendrick Bourne and Ramondre Stevenson as his best weapons, are we really giving him the team to be able to succeed? Not to mention that, but also pass protection has been a heavy flaw of this team for the last couple seasons. So we're already going to be sending him out there with poor protection, and we're going to send him out there with no weapons. To me, it's just a no-brainer. If you can go get a guy like Brandon Aiyuk, he's going to put up 1,200 yards and maybe double-digit touchdowns if he can stay healthy. It is a no-brainer. Go get him. We saw what happened when we sent Mac Jones out there with this little of a talent pool. You know, he was wasted potential, untapped potential, and now he's the backup quarterback for the Jaguars, and that was a waste of the 10th overall pick? So I'm just looking for the Patriots to make up for their mistakes that they made with Mac Jones. And you know, I think they're trying. I think they're trying to move on from the mistakes that they've made over the last couple years. Of course, moving on from Bill Belichick, that's huge, and hiring a players coach in Gerard Mayo. So, you know, they're making all of the right moves to make me want to believe in this franchise again, and so I'm here for it, man. And then with this deal in particular, it's more so if Brandon Aiyuk is going to want to come play for the Patriots, you know? They're not going to make this deal unless he's ready to sign a contract, and I don't know if Aiyuk's going to want to come play for a team that's not necessarily ready to win right now. I mean, clearly he's money motivated, and so money talks, or else he'd just be staying with San Fran, but I mean, at what point when he sees some of these other offers that are out there, which we're going to get to those later on in the video, they're much better football teams than the Patriots. So at what price point is he willing to say, all right, I'll suck it up and lose for a couple years, but y'all are going to have to pay me? And, you know, I think the Pats are going to be willing to do that, and I think that this is in the best interest for both parties. And to stop rambling on from that, the next team I want to talk about is the Cleveland Browns. And I've got to say, if I'm a Browns fan or if I'm a Browns coach or, you know, if I'm the Browns GM, I'm personally not making this move. And it has nothing to do with Aiyuk. I think the world of Aiyuk. I think he's going to be one hell of a ball player. But at the end of the day, we haven't seen the strides from Deshaun Watson that we've wanted to see to where I would say, okay, let's buy in even further. You know, we've already bought so far into Deshaun Watson and we have nothing to show for it. We even had Joe Flacco come in and outshine him, you know. Even if Deshaun was healthy at the end of that season, Flacco would have played. And that's just because of how disappointing that Watson has been. So why would we invest further draft capital and players? You'd probably have to give a couple players up as well. Why would we invest that into another weapon for you if you haven't proven you can win in the first place? But for the sake of this video, I guess I'll play devil's advocate and I'll act like Deshaun Watson has been on par with what Browns fans and what the Browns front office thinks that he's going to be. You know, adding a guy like Aiyuk, let's say if you're able to keep Amari Cooper, I don't know if he would be in this deal. You're obviously going to have one of the best offensive lines in football. You're going to have Nick Chubb. We don't know what version of Nick Chubb we're going to have. Even if he's 75-80% of what he has been in the past, you know, you're going to have a top 5 running back. Even if he's 80% of what he was, still a top 5 running back. You're going to have Amari Cooper. You're going to have Jerry Jeudy. You're going to have, you know, you'd have Brandon Aiyuk, and you're going to have one of the best defenses in football. So what's stopping this team? And of Of course, what I think is stopping this team is Watson, but to play devil's advocate, you have this elite quarterback that you traded all these weapons for. You should be able to win, and you should be able to win now. And I'm going to just keep it short with the Browns. Like I said, if they think Watson's their guy and they think that Watson can get it done for him, absolutely make this move. But for me personally, I'm going to want to hold on to some of my draft capital in case this whole Watson experiment does not work out, which I just haven't seen enough positive signs to show me, yeah, let's go buy in. Let's send the house, So for me personally, I'm going to have to pass on this one, but it would be interesting to see, to say the least. And to move on from that, the last team that's kind of in the Aiyuk sweepstakes is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I've seen so many reports, from yesterday up until today saying they're in the sweepstakes, they're not in the sweepstakes. So I'm not really sure what to think anymore, but just to play hypotheticals, let's say they go out and make this move. Personally, I think it's one of the smartest moves that they can make. They have almost no money tied up at quarterback right now. And they have a guy like George Pickens, Najee Harris, Warren. So, they have a decent amount of offensive talent. Why not go at another guy like Aiyuk? You have no money tied down right now at quarterback. So even if this experiment with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields doesn't pan out, you're going to be drafting a quarterback next year or the year after, and you're still going to have so much money to play with. There is almost no room for failure to go give a Brandon Aiyuk this lucrative deal that he wants, because at the end of the day, this money's not going to go anywhere else. And we all know the story with the Steelers. They have the most elite defense in the NFL. So if their offense can even pick it up to the pace of being the 10th to the 15th offense in the league this season, this is a scary team, depending on what version of Russell Wilson is who I think is going to end up being the starters, or hell, even if it's Justin Fields, what version of this offense are we going to see? Because if it's the same old stale Kenny Pickett offense, this team is going nowhere. But if you can add a guy like Aiyuk and spice it up a little bit, this team is a for sure playoff. You can write them into the playoffs right now. Hell, they could even win a playoff game if this offense can even be somewhat formidable. And if the asking price is a second and maybe a fifth, or a second round pick and maybe a player, there's no downside to making this deal for the Steelers. And I just think that they would almost be stupid and shooting themselves in the foot to not do it. And I know I said that was the last team, but to kind of give a little sneak peek on what I think, I know that the Commanders have been officially ruled out of the sweepstakes, but just with the relationship that Aiyuk and Daniels have, I think that Washington should make their guy in Jaden Daniels happy and go get his friend in Brandon Aiyuk. I just think that that's the right locker room move for them, and that's what I would be entertaining, Surround my rookie quarterback with guys that are going to make him feel comfortable and make him feel good in this system that he's about to enter into. That's just my opinion on it. Obviously, I can't force them to want to trade draft capital or trade players for whatever the 49ers may be wanting for Aiyuk. And those are the 4 teams that I could realistically see Aiyuk going to. And it's just a matter of what he chooses, because at the end of the day, if he's not going to sign the contract for one of these teams, they're not going to trade for him. So it's just a matter of time before one of these deals gets done. And I think we could see it sometime this week, maybe next week at the latest, but it's going to get done. And that's all I have for you today. So thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.